All right, guys, so PrizePicks just put out this tweet, and so I'm interested if I can find a better slip, better bets that I personally like a little bit more. And I think that I have. Let's go ahead and get into those prop bets. And before we get into that, it does seem like all the prop bets for NFL season long that I put out on Underdog are looking like they're going to hit. Most of them for PrizePicks are looking like they're going to hit as well. I had a couple of unfortunate timed injuries, and that's kind of the tough part about NFL is that they're not on a per game base. We are going to see that that is going to be the case for NBA. So that already gives us an edge, I personally think. And so the one that I want to start with the most is actually going to be Keldon Johnson for over 20.8 point. Now, guys, the biggest issue that we had with any Spurs player last year was just predicting the minute. All the minutes for the Spurs players were pretty spread out, and that could occur again this year. The one player that we could consistently count on to at least get 30 minutes was Keldon Johnson, and we can see he did step up into a bigger role as their best player last year, and he's gotten better each and every season thus far. So it's went from 9.1 points his first year, 12.8 his second year, and we can see the minutes were still limited in those 2 years. In 2022, 17 points, and then last year, 22 points. Now, for the preseason thus far, we really do not have a good sample size like to go off of to really decide if this is going to be a good bet or not. I will say the one game that we saw him play and kind of maybe the starters for the Spurs, obviously Victor wasn't playing, Vassell, Trey Jones didn't play as well, but we did see Keldon Johnson get up 13 shot attempts just in that game and had 11 points in that. And so I like the fact that we're getting at 20.8. To me, I see him as someone that is going to take that next step again this season. And then for me, it does kind of feel like we would be forcing other like points-based prop. I thought Terry Rozier for over 21 on or 20.1 on average would be a good one. But that's kind of dependent on LaMelo Ball, Gordon Hayward, PJ Washington. And so I don't know if I exactly want to take those. I think PJ Washington is going to step up into a bigger role this year like he did at the end of the season last year. Obviously with Ball back healthy, that's another element. This team is looking like they're going to be healthy. They're probably going to try to force minutes to Brandon Miller. So that to me is more of a stay away. Bogdanovich is definitely going to be an interesting one as well, just because like I could almost see them trying to move on from him this season and they really go with the youth movement. They already have 4 bigs there. I know he's kind of a guard forward, but he is someone that I do think might just end up on a championship team at the end of the season or halfway through it. Like that's just a logical move to me. And so sure, do I think while he's with Detroit, he's going to average over that? Probably. But in the season long, I kind of see that falling off. And so that's kind of it for me for the points-based prop. Let's talk about some rebounds. And really the only one that I somewhat like is actually Mitchell Robinson for over 9.1 rebounds. To me though, that does feel like a bet we'd be making just to kind of make. Let's touch on why I like it. First of all, over the last 2 seasons in which he has averaged over 25 minutes per game, he has been getting 8.1, 8.6, and then 9.4 last year. The issue that we had last year is that he really did not get a lot of minutes. He is someone that we would like to see get 30 minutes per game, especially for this bet to hit. And if we look at the game log thus far this preseason, that is going to echo that same sentiment. So 7 rebounds in 23 minutes in the first preseason game. We look at the other preseason game, 21 minutes, also 7 rebounds there. So if we can get into even like 28 minutes, which could happen, but it's tough to say for sure. He is someone that typically gets into foul trouble as well, which is another element that would hurt that prop bet, but he did average 9.4. This is going to be a tight line, but if I was trying to find a rebound prop, that was going to be my favorite one. Let's go ahead and move on into some more that I feel much better about. Looking at assists per game, I kind of like 2 here. One would be actually Devin Booker for over assists. I'm not really going to touch on this because I think we have a better season-long prop bet that we can use with him. So the one that I think I like the most is actually Tyus Jones, and I kind of laugh at it because it is a strange one, and this could very much be a trap. Don't get me wrong, 7.1 is a lot, and this would 100% be the most assists of his career. Let's get that straight. But when we look at the depth chart, like who is going to be getting the minutes over him? Maybe DeLon Wright, maybe Jordan Poole just operates more as the point guard. We could see that. Maybe Johnny Davis actually steps up this season. Those are all possible things that could occur. And even if we use this sample, it's not a good sample from their game against the Hornets, but one thing I want to call out is the freaking shot attempts for both Kyle Kuzma and Jordan Poole. Now you might be thinking those are going to be good points-based props as well. You could use those, honestly. I don't mind that. My thing is that we know that those two are just going to get up the court and chuck it, but I also think that's going to come from someone like Tyus Jones getting out there and facilitating the basketball to them. And if we know that this is kind of going to be the rotation, Kyle Kuzma, probably Jordan Poole getting 34-ish minutes per game, and then maybe Tyus Jones getting around 30 minutes per game, I do think that there is going to be a good opportunity for him to get over 7.1 assists per game. Once again, that one does feel tight. So now let's get into really probably my favorite one. Devin Booker for over 2.13 points made per game. So let's start with looking at his kind of game log for over his whole career. We're going to see that through his career, he does average 2.1. We see that, okay? He's not someone that's typically going to go out and shoot a bunch, though. We already see that as well. But let's think about it. They add Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant, who are already going to space the floor much more than really anyone else. He's going to have a few more open looks, I think, per game. And then you also have Yusuf Nurkic there, who is pretty good big in terms of rebounding, assists, and just all around a solid player. Like, to me, that is going to be an upgrade for Beal, KD, and also Devin Booker offensive, because you're not going to have Ayton kind of clogging the paint. It's going to open up the whole court a little bit more. So to me, I see that actually opening up more 3-ball attempts for Devin Booker throughout the whole season and just wide open looks throughout the whole season. If we look at their most recent game, 4 for 6 from 3, kind of echoing that point. Another game, 3 for 6. And then in their first game where he didn't play that many minutes, 15, didn't have any, or it went 2 for 4. Okay. So that all adds up to this one probably looking like it's going to be a smash spot for over 3-pointers made per game on average. It's one of my favorite ones on the season. Another one that I kind of like, just dependent on somewhat of a situation, is CJ McCollum for over his 3-pointers made. It's kind of the same logic. Whereas Zion's going to be back, Brandon Ingram's going to be back. You know, those guys are going to drive and kick it a little bit more. CJ McCollum's going to be able to post up at the 3-ball line and be able to drop some of those 3-ball attempts. We look at his career, especially with the Pelicans, 2.7, 2.8 on average. With Portland prior to that, 3.6, 3.1 on average made per game. So once again, probably a little bit of a tighter line, but I will say if Zion is back, I do feel like that's just going to lead to McCollum getting a few more 3-ball attempts up. Thus far this preseason, 2 for 6. Like the 6 attempts in their second preseason game, 4 for 8, and then their last preseason game, 2 for 6. So I like the fact that he is getting those 3-ball attempts up. And if you give them a few more minutes, right? Like obviously 16 is not a lot. We go back, 23 is not a lot, and 23 is not a lot. Like you give him his normal allotment of minutes, that's a lot of 3-balls to go around. I know preseason is a little bit different. Teams are testing things out. They're testing rotations out. I get that, but I also think it is a little bit of a sign of things to come. So to me, those are 2 pretty good 3-ball props that we are getting. I do think the Devin Booker one is going to be one that we want to smash. In terms of 50-point games, I was a little bit shocked to see Giannis only at 0.5. Now, maybe that has something to do with Damian Lillard there. I do think he has a good chance to get that over. I also think Anthony Edwards is going to have a couple of statement games. Obviously, 50 points is not likely. We don't want to be chasing that. And then also SGA. Those are a couple of ones that I think have a good chance to do that. I probably am not going to be chasing those. But for triple doubles, I kind of like this idea with Giannis. So Giannis throughout his career only has 38 triple doubles. Okay. We look at last season, though, 6. And if we just look at his previous seasons, we'll go ahead and take a peek. 3 in 2022. In 2021, 5. The next season, a bunch. The next season, a bunch. And so I think with Lillard there, and also with Chris Middleton back healthy, I think we're going to see Giannis average more assists this season than he had last season. Like, I think that's almost guaranteed, because not only are you adding in Chris Middleton as a shooter back into the lineup, but you're also kind of taking out Drew Holiday, who I love Drew Holiday. I think every Bucks fan does, but Damian Lillard is for sure going to be an upgrade there. And so I think we're going to see a little bit more likelihood for him to maybe even chase a triple-double. And that is something that we saw last year, is that he did start to kind of stat chase a little bit. And for this specific one, I kind of like that. And I don't see his rebounds changing. I don't see his points changing. The only thing that I do see changing is the ability to have multiple triple doubles again this year. And now this is like the first time where a preseason game isn't going to echo that same sentiment that I just called out. Only 1 assist in that game. Let's call it out though. Brook Lopez 1 for 6. Damian Lillard 2 for 7. Malik Beasley, who, guys, for season-long leagues, I think he's going to be a sneaky good pickup for you guys that you can get in your end-of-your-round best ball drafts. A lot of you guys already know I'm crushing it for season-long NFL best ball drafts. I think that's a good sneaky pick that's going to return some value for you. And then even Jay Crowder, 1 for 3. Like, they just shot the ball poorly from 3, especially when Giannis was on the court. He only played 15 minutes, but I do think you could have gave him like 4 assists there. And then those are kind of it. So let's go ahead and give you guys my bet slip for the season long. Now, I do want to call out some slight discrepancies that I saw. Sabonis assist on PrizePicks is set at 7.1 on average. On Underdog is set at 6.9. So, that might not seem like much, but it kind of is. For Underdog, I do think Aiden's going to be on the court a lot for the Portland Trailblazers. So his line on Underdog at 10.5 rebounds per game, I think I would like the over there. And then that was kind of it in terms of like the differences between Underdog and PrizePicks. So as always, if you guys see a bet that you like, make sure to call it out in the comment section below. We are all trying to cash together here. These are my 4 favorite ones on the season. I feel pretty confident about these ones hitting. I didn't want to put in 2 more in there that I didn't feel as confident about them hitting. I did kind of mention some other ones in passing that if you guys want to use those ones for your season-long bets, by all means go and do it. Once again, just recapping, I do think that with Damian Lillard on the team, that's going to lead to Giannis being able to kick it out a little bit more frequently to someone that he can trust is going to hit a 3-ball. Not only that, you also have Chris Middleton returning this season, going to be 100% healthy, which hasn't been the case for a while. So I also think that's going to lead to Giannis being able to get a few more triple doubles there. Brook Lopez is still there. He's able to hit a couple of 3-balls if you kick it out. Bobby Portis is still there. And also Malik Beasley. I just like the offense for Giannis to be able to get rebounds and points still the same. And then the assists being there. Devin Booker, just with Bradley Beal there, and also Kevin Durant there, and even Yusuf Nurkic. I think that those are all going to be improvements for Devin Booker in terms of efficiency in his game. And I think he's going to have a few more open looks at the 3-ball line per game. And so I really like the over 2.1 3-ball made per game. That's probably my favorite one on the season. Keldon Johnson, I do think that he's going to continue to advance in the NBA ranks this season. I still think he's going to be the best player on their team this season. I want to make that clear. And it's kind of a fun team. The biggest worry that we have with the Spurs was last year they really spread out their minutes. I'm hoping that those get a little bit more concentrated this season. I'm hoping that Keldon Johnson can at least average 33 minutes per game this season. Then I feel pretty confident they'll be able to get over 20.8 on the season. And then CJ McCollum, kind of a bet on Zion staying healthy, honestly. Obviously we don't love that. And this is probably the one I'm the least confident in, but he has been shooting the 3-ball a little bit more frequently thus far this preseason. And if anything, it's going to be like 2.8 or 2.9, a little bit tighter than the other 3, I think. But I also really like this one. That's going to be all for this video. No tools for season long for NBA. Apologies. NFL is going on and whatnot, but make sure to give a like and subscribe to this video. Comment your guys' favorite one for this season. Let's have a good NBA season. And as always, let's keep cashing.